Well, hey, everybody, it's Pastor Martin. Grateful that you've joined me on tonight. And we're coming in to talk. What a week it has been. We've got so much to talk about and just try to figure out where do we actually start on tonight talking about it and having a conversation. Good to see you, Mother Washington. God bless all of you that are coming. Let's just get started. Let's jump right into it. What a week has been. Of course, we started the week with um, Memorial Day, and just been one of those weeks. We had several weeks before that, a couple of days before that, here in Atlanta and in Georgia, where on the south end of Georgia, a young man was video was revealed that he was killed, and took so long for them to arrest the people that did it, several months, and then we turn around where we have this situation where young man was killed. Um, his last name is Floyd, George Floyd, where he was killed on, hey, how you doing, Brother Charles? Uh, and we had where this young man was killed, and then we've seen all of the, I wouldn't call it, I guess, violence. I would call it protests and reacting and responding to what's taking place. And so we see a lot that's going on. So I want to talk about quite a bit tonight, and we want to start there with the death of George Floyd. How do you feel about that? Do you feel some kind of way? Those of us that may be a little older, I was born in 1960, so I came right in doing when the movement of civil rights started. And so I was a young man. I remember when Dr. King was killed. I remember that. So we see all of that. I remember in school studying about Dr. King and the protests and nonviolence and those things that took place. So we sort of see that. And those of us that are older, we sort of remember that. And every time we think about it, it makes us feel some kind of way when we see the injustice or those things that are done. Makes you feel some kind of way, even if you don't want to feel that way. It makes you feel that way anyway. It just makes you respond and make you feel the way. And some people will never admit that it makes them feel that way, but it does. It makes you feel some kind of way. I've had situations, and I know, somebody will. I don't believe that. I've had situations where things have happened, and I've sort of felt some kind of way. Not I'm not talking about a Christian way either. Some kind of way that you want to grab somebody or you want to just respond in a certain way, and you've experienced those type of things. I remember years ago when I traveled with my uncle. We had a van, and we had a he had a Cadillac, and his Cadillac was one of them nice Cadillacs, and I was driving the Cadillac along with one of the workers that worked with us, and then we had a Caucasian gentleman that we all call brothers. His name, we called him Red. His name was James, but we called him Red. He was the drummer. He was driving the van. So we stopped on the Pennsylvania Turnpike to get some gas. And I had the money because I was the treasurer of my uncle's crusade team. And we were on our way somewhere traveling to the next meeting. And I remember paying for the gas at the truck stop or whatever and paying for the gas. And once I paid for the gas, I never forget that once we went down a little ways, there was an officer that was sort of waiting. And when we passed by him, he put his lights on and he came behind me and he pulled me over. And during that time, we had CBs. We didn't have cell phones. We had CBs. And so, I told him, the officer pulled me over. And so they pulled over to wait on me. Hey, Sister Harris, yeah, they called me over to wait on me. So what happened was, when I got in, the officer said to me, he said, "Did you just stop and get gas back on at the truck stop?" I said, "Yes." He said, "And you paid for it?" I said, "Yes." And so when I got in the car, he was a white officer, young guy, and he said to me, he said, the reason I pulled you over because they reported you because they thought it was very suspicious that this young black guy would be, first of all, driving this expensive Cadillac and then he would be having the money to pay for both vehicles for their gas. So they pulled me over. And in the midst of pulling me over, then he said, I was wondering myself how you could afford a car like this. What do you do? How can you afford it? And I said to him, this is not my car, it's my uncle's car. And so, he didn't give me a ticket or anything. I hadn't done anything. So he eventually, we went on and went on our way. But I'm saying that to say this, that, when you start thinking about it, some of us feel certain kind of ways because of these things that happen, and we have experienced them where people have pulled us over. Remember, we were on our way to Birmingham, and on a Sunday evening, just to on our way to Birmingham in the service, and we stopped by the store. I was driving the van, and my uncle and everyone was in. And so when we pulled out of the service station to go get on the highway, all these police cars ran up on us and blocked us, and they got out and said, "Get out the car." And so we got out the car, and my uncle was asking, "Well, what did they do? And what do we do?" And they said, "We ain't talking to you. We want to talk to him. He the driver." So, I proceeded to talk with them, and they said, "Open the back of the van. Let's see what's back here." So when they opened it up, we had equipment, we had clothes and everything back there. So when they opened it up, they looked, and they still was, sort of hostile. Didn't let my uncle say anything, and said, y'all ain't got nothing in here illegal. No, we're on our way to a revival. We're on our way to church, actually. And so they said, well, there's been a report of robberies and break-ins in the area, and your van fit the description. Now, here's the funny part about it. Our van could not have fit the description because our van was a blue van that had writing all over it, had Gene Martin, Acts Revival, healing, deliverance, and salvation and stuff on the van. So why would we be breaking into anybody's thing with a van that looks like a church van or a crusade van? And so he finally said, well, we knew when we first stopped you, before you even got out, that you were not who we were looking for. Then why didn't y'all let us go? So when you have experienced things like that, it makes you feel some kind of way. So in the shooting and in the person would had the knee, the police officer had the knee on the young man's neck, is making people feel some kind of way. Some of us is taking us back to remember those things that have happened before. And we have to admit and we have to understand that it is real. It happens in America. It's happening all over the place. This just happens to be a case and an incident where we see that now we have cameras, so you can actually videotape some of this injustice or some of the things that happen where you could not videotape it before. Now you get to videotape it. So that makes a big difference. So in the death of Mr. Floyd, we see that there's a lot of tension, a lot of things that are going on. And so, we have to just deal with it because it's emotional. It's everything that should be, how you feel about certain things, whether you're black or white or whatever color, it should make you feel a certain kind of way. So we're dealing with the death of this young man. And so in some cases, some things, it hit us more than one in a week or more than one in a month. So we're dealing with that and the coronavirus and the pandemic. So there's a lot going on. And so we deal with that. And so I want to know, how are you dealing with it? How do you process this particular thought? I know some people are angry. Some people, I've heard some people say, I almost want to go slap somebody. They're, even here in Atlanta today, they started out with a peaceful demonstration. Then they start pushing back at the police. And so everywhere when you see officers and people that law enforcement, you start feeling a certain kind of way, even though they may not be involved, or they may not be guilty, or they may not do things the way others are doing it. You just feel some kind of way because of the fact that they have on a uniform, or because of what our perception have been and what we look at them, how they act, and whether they're black and white. We have to do it. Now, I think I just got some on my phone that said that there's a police car that's been set on fire. I don't know if that's in Atlanta. It may be, but that's going on live right now, what's going on downtown. So that's first thing. So then we had this long week. So I was sitting here thinking and just talking, and that is, sometimes when we see these protesters and they are burning down police precincts or they are um, rioting and stuff. I have to say, and I can talk about this for a bit of history. I remember when the Rodney King verdict came in, when those officers were found not guilty. I was in Los Angeles in Revival that particular week. Hey, I'm doing good. I was in Revival that particular week in Revival, and when it broke out, I was there to preach that Tuesday night, and then I was there for a whole week, but I had to end up leaving, coming back home because the riots broke out. And I was young, didn't know no better, and so the next day we went down into the riot area. We did. We went down into the riot area. I saw people coming out of the Mercedes lots, driving Mercedes. I saw people. Hey, Mother Washington. I seen people coming out with TVs and all kind of stuff. I seen a whole bunch of stuff. People, they were burning stuff up, and the thing was, they were. I mean, they were not burning it up in the other neighborhoods. They were burning it up in the place where they had to live. And to that day, I think that some of that has never been rebuilt because of the way they burn it down or they tore it up, and it was never rebuilt. So sometimes when we do that, we are hurting what is our future, and we have to some type of way sort of channel our anger. But one of the things that I thought about, and some of you can give me your thoughts on this. One of the things I thought about when you look at most of these that are doing this, probably, I'm not saying all, but some of them are young. And when I say young, they're probably 20s and 30s, maybe 40s. And I'm 59, and some of you may be older than me. So when we talk about the 1960s, when we talk about from 60 to 68, when Dr. King was when you talk about Dr. King's assassination. So we talk about that time frame, and you talk about nonviolence. When you talk about the March on Washington and his great speech, "I Have a Dream," Dr. King's thing was about nonviolence. Well, you have to understand that most of these young people that are dealing today don't really and can't relate to Dr. King's nonviolence. They can't relate to that because they didn't come up in that era. They didn't come up in that time. They didn't come up in that generation or that mood where they can relate to nonviolent protests or nonviolent things. They did not come up in that time. They don't know anything about that. They don't deal with that, and they just, that's not their thing. That, they don't believe. Like some people, you're talking about, if you turn, if they hit you on one teeth, turn the other. Now there's some people that may take that literally and believe in it, but most people that I know today in this generation, if you hit them on one cheek, you just get ready because they gonna hit you back. They not turning one cheek, and they not gonna let you hit them and then just say, "Hit me again." That's just not going to happen. It is not going to take place. And so they can't relate to nonviolence. They don't know anything about the nonviolence movement walking around. If in that day they wouldn't have been able to sick dogs on them and put water hose, they'd have been a real battle, real fight. It'd have been some stuff going on. So we have to be honest that sometimes they cannot relate to that particular thing. They can't relate to it. And so uh, that's not to give them a pass. That's not to say that they should do what they're doing. But it just has to be where we have to understand that if they did not come up in that, some of us came up in the nonviolence. We came up in knowing what to do and what not to do. But all of them did not come up in that era, that time, that generation. So they have a thing. They've come up, we came up watching certain things that did not have violence on them. Now, when they see, their response is not only what they learn in the neighborhoods, what they learn among their peers and their friends, but it's what they learn in off TV. TV is it's nice, but TV is violent. And they learn violence from that. They learn to carry guns and everything from TV. They learn to be whatever you want to call it. That's where they learn. And we have to understand that when you come up, whatever is before you and you grab a hold to it, usually you do what you see promoted and what you see done. So we have to understand that that is one of the things that we got to really deal with it. And it's our responsibility. I heard the mayor of our city saying she had a conversation with her mother today, and her mother gave her a different perspective than that of her children. Well, her mother is older, so her mother has a different perspective of what the things that are taking place now. Most of us that are older, we go back, we feel back to the KKK and different things like that. The only difference now is they're not wearing sheets or whatever. They're police officers, they're judges, they're whatever. So that's how we deal with it. That's how we look at it. So we see it as the same thing. They've just moved into higher offices, and they're able to get by with stuff a little bit more than they used to. So they hide behind that. All right. So let's talk about something else. Uh, Another thing I want to talk about was we had a conference call last night, thanks to our bishop and Dr. Harold Bennett and a couple others. We had a conference call and got a chance to talk to some doctors that are working with this pandemic and coronavirus. And let me say to you that I believe that we must really take this serious after asking these doctors a couple of questions and finding out some things that I did not know. There's some myths that have been going around and some things that have we really don't understand. And I may have heard it, but didn't pay attention to it. Like some of us, when they talk about this virus, is one that a lot of people, we're covering our faces, our mouths, and stuff. But they're talking about this virus actually once it's out. If you've got it and you're asthmatic and it goes out, that thing lives in the atmosphere. So we are prone to be able to catch this or whatever. And so when I see people just floating around here, no mask, no nothing, I'm sort of I don't know. I'm like, really? So the questions and stuff we got a chance to ask them last night and the stuff they got a chance to share with us and talk about, it gave me a whole different thing about, I was already serious about it, but it gave me a whole different thing of how looking at this pandemic and all the things, and then understanding that when it comes to church, now there have been a lot that people that I've seen online, and some of them I haven't said anything or addressed because I just felt that sometimes some things that we do or say, sometimes we say it in how should I say it? I think in possibly in ignorance, if you want to say that. Or, well, I'm not going to say ignorance. It's your opinion, so you can have your opinion if you want to. But some things that we talk about, there are people that, say, well, I'm about sick of this online church and online worship. Well, I sort of feel sorry for those of you that may feel that way. I know how you feel. All of us want to get back in fellowship and be in church, but I'm here to tell you that the new norm, even if you went back to church, our governor loosed some of the standards and said, okay, y'all can have 25 people, but you still got to practice safe distancing. And now they're saying that 6 feet is really not enough. It should be 12 feet. Well, if that's the case, and then they're saying to us, and we go in services in church, that we've got to, if you got multiple services, that you got to sanitize and do a complete sanitation and sanitize your whole sanctuary before the next service, and then you can't shouldn't be passing out offering envelopes, passing the bucket. You shouldn't be praying for people. It's the stuff they share with us is a whole lot, and so I'm saying, again, like I said to you last week, what if our people decide they're not coming back? There's businesses that said, I've got a loan to maintain, but the people are slow coming back. And so those that are fighting, that are fighting, hey, God bless you, those that are fighting the online worship or whatever, and you sick of it, I got you. But you might as well get used to it because it's going to be a new norm. It's going to be, there are people having weddings, getting married online. There are people getting married online, and there are other things that are taking place. Of course, you see where they've reduced those that you can go in and have a funeral setting. So there are things that are happening online. There are things that are taking place, and worship has to be one of them, because now you don't want to put those that you pastor or the congregation or whoever in jeopardy for that, to do that. God bless you. You don't want to do that, because that's something that you really don't want to do. And I understand, I understand the struggle because you got mortgages to pay and things that's got to be done. I got you. I understand it. I'm a pastor. I know that things got to be done. But somewhat the new norm is almost what we're doing and how we're doing it. So we got to get used to it a little bit, and we got to work with it while we're working with it. Then you've got those, and I won't talk about this tonight. I'll just put it out there. There are people that don't go to church anyway. But if this is the way to get them in church, maybe not a physical building, but get them to hear the gospel or the message, then let's use this and not fight what we're using. Because if you're sick of it, if you're tired of it, and you don't, I don't want to do it no more, and I don't want to do this, especially if you're a preacher, if and a pastor, if you saying that, then you're fighting what the only means that you have to reach your congregation and people at this time. And that is either here on social media or by telephone. You have no way because you can't have service. So don't fight what you've got to use. Don't fight the tool that you have to use to reach people. Be sort of understanding that when you make statements, hey, Sister Adams, that you make statements in a negative way. So this is somewhat of the new norm. It is somewhat of the new norm. The last thing I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to get out of here. This stuff was on my mind, so I want to come on and share it tonight. Today, of course, the presiding bishop of the Church of God in Christ, Bishop Charles Edward Blake, canceled the Holy Convocation in November. Canceled it, said we're not having the convocation. And I talked to many people and some of you that are watching, and you had already said, I'm not going to convocation. Even if they had it, you were not going. I hadn't bought a ticket. I wasn't going anyway. I told you all I was, I'm watching, and I wasn't going to go. I was just going to I missed last year, but I was going to miss this year. Sure enough, I usually always go election year, but I said, I'm not going. So let's give a shout out to Bishop Blake and the General Board and the officers of our church for having enough for the constituents and for the members of the Church of God in Christ to cancel the convocation. I really appreciate the fact that they saw pass and money. And Bishop Blake has canceled. He has canceled all the meetings. I think the only thing was postponed was the April call meeting, but he canceled everything else, and that's a major decision. And I don't hate Bishop Blake for that. It is a major decision simply because you don't understand the pressure that is put on the leader and those board members when they have to make those type of decisions. Of course, because that's not only convocation, fellowship, but it's revenue. It means the money that they spending out, but then the money that they're taking in. And so it alters everything. But I appreciate him for looking out for the safety of the people more than just to shine or to stand and say, well, I'm the presiding bishop. Y'all, no, thank you, Bishop Blake, for doing that. We appreciate you and the General Board for doing that, where you would think enough of us not to put our lives in danger. And so we're believing God that, next year it'll be, we'll be able to have these meetings. But until then, we're going to keep on keeping on. We're going to keep on doing what we're doing and keep on trying to do it. I say this every time, and I hate to sound like a broke record. I hate to be redundant, but I want to say to those of you that, don't use social media as a means to criticize everything that you don't understand or to criticize everything. Because what I'm finding out about some people, and I'm not talking about everybody, but I'm finding out about some people, is that's the only thing that keeps them relevant, is for them to keep up controversy and keep up foolishness. And that's what it is. They keep up controversy, they keep up foolishness so they can stay relevant instead of using the platform to actually, be a blessing, or using, and I'm talking about church now, platforms to say to the people, we're on the same level at this point. And again, there's some, I've had people calling me, and I'm going to do something about eChurch and talk about it, but there's some people that, anything that they can criticize, they find something to criticize about it. And it just shows where you are and what type of spirit you have. Even if you're a pastor, even if you're a leader, You shouldn't be messy online all the time. There's some things you got to know when to say something, when not to say something, know when to hold your peace. Everything does not, you don't need to respond to everything. Everything is not, and even sometimes our opinions, I don't take away, I believe everyone should have the right to have an opinion, but I also believe you should use some good judgment when you say stuff. There's some things it's best not said than said. And when you understand that, people, we criticize stuff that we possibly never have experienced or been through. I saw somebody's post the other day. They were complaining about people posting pictures of their dead relatives in caskets or whatever, and how disrespectful it was. And someone was saying, well, but sometimes people do that as a means of healing or trying to whatever. Here's my thought on that. Uh, if they want to do that, that's their business. If you don't want to see it, don't look at it. I mean, if you don't want to see it, don't watch it. Don't. I mean, that's not the first time that I've seen pictures online of Dr. King in the casket and others in the casket. But people post on it. Sometimes that is therapeutic for them. Sometimes it helps them. Sometimes it does that. It's a help. But if you don't understand it, don't criticize and make people feel bad, because that's what they want to do. If that's what they want to do, some of them, they don't show the pictures of the casket, but they play a lot of videos or pictures of their loved ones. When people first pass, you got to deal with the emotional thing of it. Then you've got to deal not only with the emotional thing, you got to deal with taking care of the business. And then if they lived in a house or whatever, you got to go in and you got to go through their things and clear out their things. My uncle died March 20th, 2015. This is 2020. I'm still going through his stuff. I haven't went through all his stuff yet. Still got some of his stuff that I have not even been through. Some of it I went through, some of it I didn't. It takes a minute. And then there are moments, I have my moments of things when I hear things or see things, so I have to deal with that. So, a lot of times have your opinion, but learn to be respectful with your opinions. And I don't want to call you messy, but I'm just saying that if it don't fit you, don't worry about it. But don't be messy. Don't do things to so you can be relevant, so you can press people's buttons to get conversation. I mean, why are you doing that? I mean, come on. We're bigger than that. And especially now, because all of us are in this same thing. And we don't know what's going to happen with any of us, our loved ones, or anybody. So we don't know what's going to happen. So let's not do things when we may be in the same boat or a different boat later. So right now we're in the same boat, same level. All of us are sitting around praying and believing God to bring us out, bring this thing to an end, but we don't know how it's going to end up. And so let's keep loving each other. Let's keep praying for each other. And let's not take this thing to be so critical. So, again, I say to you tonight, before I get ready to get out of here, I say to you, by all means, let's do a better job. And let's keep on praying for one another. Let's try not to be so judgmental in things, and let's remember and try to just respect each other. And if we do that, I think we'll be fine. So let's pray for the family in Minnesota. Let's pray for those and things that are taking place. Those of you that, if you're young and you watch this, do me a favor, go to Google and type in Dr. Martin Luther King's name. Type in his name and go back and see if you can find footage of them uh, getting results, and they weren't violent in it, but still getting results. The reason we're able to ride on the bus, anywhere on the bus, is because through protests and the movement that was organized, they shut the whole bus thing down, and they had to change the law. We make plenty of money. We spend a lot of money. Don't you know if we had a you talking about a Black Friday, if we had a day that we just decided that as people of color, and that's not to say anything because I got a lot of white friends. I'm just talking about us right now on this, and we decided not to spend no money for a whole day for nothing, then you talking about the economy being affected. The economy would be reeling and rocking if we didn't spend no money. So we've got power. We just got to know where to use our power at, and that's with anybody. I'm talking about everybody now. We got to know when to use our power and where to use our power. So we can't relate, but we understand that sometimes the violence does not get us anywhere. And I know somebody may not like what I'm about to say now, but it's okay. We won't fall out about it. This is just my opinion. If sometimes, and whether I'm not talking about blacks, I'm talking about everybody, when we respond in a violent way and we can protest, but when we protest and it ends up in buildings burning and us looting and going in and taking stuff out and burning buildings down and coming out with TVs we didn't pay for and all that kind of stuff, it sort of gives, well, I got to say it. It sort of gives some type of foundation or things to what they say we do. And when I say we, I'm not talking about just people of color, people in general. They it sort of gives because they're saying, see what happens when they get them together and they get upset. This is what they do. So we've got to change that narrative where that won't be the thing that they see about any of us at all. Only people can change that narrative is us. We change that by the way we act, by the way we do. And if we really want to make some changes, let's go to the ballot boxes. Let's go and vote. Let's vote those out that need to be out and get them out of there. And let's protest and do it that way. We can get more done that way when they see the power of what's going on. So I think we need to work on that. And then of course, again, be careful with this pandemic coronavirus. Please cover yourself, take care of yourself. Let's get used to this new norm a little bit. And those of you that are doing social media, church on social media, please keep on doing it. It's probably going to be here for a minute, and you got to do what you got to do and keep on ministering. I've had people that have joined our church since this pandemic. Really, they're not in the physical building, but they've joined RRC. I've had people that have got saved since this. I have people that have emailed me and said, you just saved my life because I was about to do something crazy, but I heard you. So let's use this for that purpose, helping those and reaching those that we can reach by this mean. And then my last thing as I close, let's pray for our leaders everywhere. I know sometimes we got issues with the president. I understand, but we still got to pray for him. I got it. We got to pray for him, pray for the vice president, pray for the governors, pray for the mayors, the senators, the congressmen. We got to pray for them. Those that are in authority, Bible tells us to do it that we may lead a quiet and peaceable life. So we need to pray for them that God would turn the hearts and the things that need to be done. We need to pray for them. We need to pray for our pastors that have to make this decision about whether they should go back in church or stay out of church, or whether they should, those are decisions that are not easy decisions. So we need to pray that those would make the right decisions. In doing that, that's very important for us to do. So let's pray for them in that way. And I believe if we do that, we'll be blessed. Pray for Bishop Blake, General Board, and those that lead Church of God in Christ. This is the second time that the Holy Convocation has been counseled. One was counseled almost 100 years ago by Bishop C.H. Mason. Counseled one. I forgot what was going on, the Spanish flu or some kind of what's going on. He counseled it. And here we are all the way down here, 2020. It's been canceled, and all the other meetings. They have virtual meetings that's going on, but no physical meeting. And so it has opened up to us a new way of doing things. And we just have to get used to it and rock it and do what we have to do. The Lord bless you. Thank you so much for being with me tonight. I appreciate you even taking the moment or the time to stop by. If I've said anything that was interesting, please share this with somebody. Please put it out. Share it with somebody, with your friends and your followers and people that follow you. And let's just keep on doing what we're doing. The Lord bless you and the Lord keep you. Thank you so much. I look forward again to talking with you another time whenever we get a moment, and we're going to talk about it. I think we should have conversations. It's good for us to talk about stuff, because if we don't talk about it, then we go to assuming. But I want you to know I love every one of you, love my sisters and brothers, and I'm praying for you. I'm praying that God would bless each and every one of you. Please, by all means, stay safe. God bless you, and may all God's best be yours.